Hey, this is Bryan. I wanted to give a quick message because the other day at the community center there was a candidate forum and some things got out of hand at the very end. Um, a couple days later, I heard someone say that I was the reason for the riot that occurred afterwards. It wasn't really a riot necessarily, but it definitely got out of hand. I wasn't the reason that it got out of hand. There was some immature people who decided to become, I'm not sure if they were fully violent or just very aggressive. So what happened at the candidate forum is I went to the moderator at an intermission time and told him that we should make sure that we asked some kind of question regarding the transgender issue before our time was up. And he pointed out a question that he felt like would be really good to ask. And I said, oh, that's my question. That's the one I wrote. And since it was a long question and English is his second language, he asked me to read the question, and he told me that it would be the last question of the night. So he called on me, last question of the night, and I read my question. And then the candidates answered. When there was one candidate, I can't remember her name, but she's a write-in, and she answered in a way that affirmed, in her opinion, parents should not be informed, or we shouldn't have a policy to ensure that parents are always informed when a child is socially transitioned at school. And unfortunately, that got a lot of applause from the audience. Um, then after that, Dwayne Taddy answered, and he had a good answer. Maybe I should back up. The question that I asked was, should we have a policy in South Lane to ensure that parents are informed when the child is socially transitioned at school? So if they're using a gender pronoun at school, parents should know about that. Currently, the policy is that if the child doesn't want parents to know, they will actively hide that information from parents. And so the one lady who's running as a write-in said that she would not support that kind of policy, that she thinks that parents should not be informed by default. And then Dwayne Taddy went and he said, he gave a right answer. He said that we should be informing parents whenever a child is using transgender pronouns at school. And he went on to give some facts that I've talked to him about before. For example, he said that a child that when they're age 12, if a child goes on cross-sex hormones, their brain development will stop. In fact, specifically their frontal lobe stops developing. And so he said that, which is actually a fact, and a lady in the crowd stood up and started shouting, stop spreading trans lies over and over, taking control of the meeting. This lady, Venice Mason, she apparently has been known for doing this as well. She supposedly, according to someone I talked to, has pulled knives or pulled a knife out before. I don't know if that was in self-defense or just aggression. But the people that were there who were supposed to be peacekeepers were aware that she was there. They knew she was coming. They talked about her previously, apparently, and they knew that she had pulled a knife before. So they immediately went over and confronted her. I wish they had just let her make a fool of herself and then later perhaps just question her, what about what Dwayne Taddy said was a lie, because it's literally true. They went and confronted her, and to be honest, I couldn't tell what was really happening. According to Taylor Willauer, they didn't grab her, but they did they did touch her at least, and they were trying to get her to go out the door. I did see a number of people fall on the ground. Some people claimed that they fell on the ground because they were faking it. They were just kind of trying to put on a show. And I don't know. I can't confirm that. I couldn't see because there's so many people. I just know that there was a lot of aggression. Later on, there was somebody who was got a child trying to come in here. Later on, there was another man who was trying to film or something. Somebody grabbed his phone and threw it, and then there was a tussle. Apparently, that man did something to one of the women there, and then some other men were upset with him, and then he started saying something about having a gun. And I think Dwayne Taddy, if that's the case, I think Dwayne Taddy did the right thing. He actually put the man into a shoulder lock and walked him out the door, and just told the police officer what the man had said, and handed him over to the police officer that was there. So it's hard for me to know who was in the right, who was in the wrong, and who did what, and who did too much, because honestly, I didn't see everything. There's just a lot of people around, and I didn't hear everything. But I will say that it is not the fault of those trying to discuss the issue when things get out of hand. It is the fault of immature people and their reaction. And they should not and will not stop us from discussing the issue, because it must be discussed. In fact, this kind of aggression and violence is nothing compared to the type of violence that children are being encouraged to do to their own body. And so it's still something that we need to address. It is not justified for adults to sit by and be silent because they're scared of perhaps making a scene. Yes, there may be people offended. There may be people who even get violent about the issue, but that is on them. If they're immature enough to do that, that's their fault. But we're going to continue to talk about the issue because it's very important, and it comes down to the safety of children. As well, I want to encourage you to vote. Ballots have gone out. You probably can find one in your mailbox. Make sure you vote for Tina Murphy, Dwayne Taddy, and Joe Tucker, and Jill Hermanson. Those are the 4 candidates that are going to be the best for our school board as far as these sorts of policies, in my opinion. So thank you very much for your time. I hope that maybe clarifies something, and look forward to maybe seeing some of you at the next board meeting and hearing from some of you through letters or otherwise. Thank you.